All right, we are back in the black hole of real estate, and we're going to give you a little market update today. What's going on in the market and what we're seeing is taking place, and why things are just a little bit different, but not all that different than in years past. This is your host, Ron Wysakarski, for the black hole of real estate. And, as we get into the end of the year, and we know that certain investors are buying or selling based on some tax reasons. And while families may not want to move during the holidays, sometimes there is a need to take advantage of either circumstances, marketplaces, or maybe unfortunate situations where a move is necessary. And then the last thing we're looking at is the snowbird season we've talked about, and those that are looking to get to warmer areas. Maybe they've rented for a long, long time, and now they're thinking of purchasing. Well, there's a lot of activity at the end of the year, and I can tell you, in my personal business, some of the best months that we've ever had. At least two of our top five were December in a couple of different years. So there's absolutely some activity that takes place that's super specific. I'd say there's less people involved in the market during this time, but for the ones that are, they're super specific, and a lot of times they're super motivated because they have to get it done. It's an inconvenient time for many, but it's an opportune time if you think about it. We're 3 months basically into these buyer broker agreements, and as predicted, it's gone relatively smoothly. It's not unlike the listing agreement you'd sign to sell a home. You're just transparently seeing what the fees are going to be in order to purchase a home. So that's ultimately worked out. It was a blip on the radar, and I think it was more upsetting the people leading up to it than what else might have taken place after, because it's an even level playing field, and it's a requirement to have one in place if you're providing any real estate services. It's gone relatively smoothly. So there are still some people out there, though, that aren't familiar with it. So if you're hearing this message for the first time, it's probably because you weren't thinking of buying a property maybe for most of this year, and now it's just coming on the radar. So what we're finding is, if someone asks you, are you familiar with the changes in real estate and the documents that would need to be signed prior to performing services, that's what that's about. And if you know about it, most people have gone ahead and worked within this documentation process with relative ease. So I think it's good that it's in place. It's in the rear view mirror for most, and it's going pretty smoothly. So as far as that part, whatever trepidation was in place, I think it's largely in the rear view mirror. And because other people have succeeded in doing it and have one signed and it had full transparency, and agents have done that, we've got a few months under our belt of it working. And I think that will gain steam and confidence as we move forward in the industry, that 6 months or a year from now, I don't know that anybody's gone through a whole cycle without knowing at least one person that's gone through it, and it wasn't too bad. So if you're worried about that, okay, get some documentation. Everything's negotiable. Go ahead and get educated and get the agreements in place that you need. Now, with that said, what else is going on in the market? Oddly enough, there are a number of people that have bought within the last couple of years that, for their own reasons, are thinking of selling. And in some areas, there's been some price appreciation. In other areas, we're noticing that there isn't as much appreciation. And quite honestly, there's some people that are hopeful just to get back the money they put into the property when they sell it and not lose money. And there is a world where some properties are going to sell for less, and there'll be a relative loss out there for those people. And what we have to keep in mind is that's not news. That's every market. At every place across the country, even in rapid appreciation, there is probably more that have gone up in value maybe in the last 3 or so years, 4 years. But things have leveled off in a lot of areas. But even within that, there was properties that lost value. There was properties that stayed neutral. And there's people that when they made the purchase, they abruptly had to move, maybe 6 months or a year, unplanned down the road. And if that's the case, if you had a small amount of money down and you were looking to sell, that could have caused some issues, just as far as paying off the existing mortgage. And that would certainly feel like a loss. I think for a lot of people, as they've gone through this process, what they've been able to do is have enough appreciation. They had a down payment and they paid some off the mortgage balance that they're able to walk away without having to write a check at closing if they bought in the last year or two, but maybe not pocket a lot of money. For those that have been just owned for years and watching the market go up and down, you could very well have seen a better net return 2 years ago or a year ago than possibly right now, but not necessarily, because if you've owned the property for 2 years and you've got the enjoyment, you would have spent that money some other place, on some other dwelling. You've also paid down, if there's a mortgage, you paid that down. For some people, the investment properties, maybe they have had some write-offs. So I do believe it's relative. And are we winning or losing right now? I'd just say it depends. But there is increased conversation around, should I sell now or should I wait till after the first of the year? I think the honest question, if you were just asking me today, when's the right time to sell? I would give you the very direct answer, when you're ready to not be the owner of that property. And waiting a few months for an extra grand or two that might cost you the same amount of money in carrying costs just to achieve a higher price point, and yes, maybe pay a little more in commissions for the enjoyment of that. You may not net a whole lot more money over the next few months by waiting. And I don't know that the interest rates are going to cycle down quickly to increase purchasing power to cause the values to go up. See, we can't guarantee anything, and we shouldn't. But the piece that's super important, if you're thinking of selling and you're ready to sell, then today is absolutely the day to sell that property, because it's getting in the way of something else. And whether it's not making the payment, maybe not receiving the rents that you want, or just not wanting to live there if it's your primary residence, and you've got to get some other place where it's more convenient, closer to work, less costly to live, more room for your family. Those are the things that cause people to move, because moving by itself is, well, it's not easy. It's uncomfortable. Change is not something that everybody embraces. So just the change, the thought of moving might be enough to give you a headache. So the market update that I see right now is there's sellers that are ready to come on the market. These conversations are ongoing. Well, do I go on now? Do I go on after the first of the year? No. I would tell you this. If you're thinking about what you're going to net and you're trying to time the market, I don't know that interest rates are going to drop dramatically in such a way that would make a big, big difference to you. I believe that many people are going to wait till after the first of the year, that arbitrary day. It's January 1st, start of a new year, but on any other month, it's just another month. It's just pages off a calendar. But if everybody took the mentality on waiting until after the first of the year, well, two things are going to happen. The first thing is that you're going to have way more competition in January, because most people will wait until January to list their homes for sale. And the other thing that's going to happen is for those early adopters with fresh inventory that's priced well in great condition, or just priced appropriately for the condition and location, for those that are on in the month of December, they're going to have a whole lot less competition and a greater opportunity, because buyers that have to buy in December, they're not waiting until January. You may miss the opportunity with certain buyers that have to purchase before the end of the year for their own reasons. And when you spell it out that way, I think it makes sense that if you're ready to sell and you're trying to time the market, sometimes today is actually to your advantage. Less listing competition, super motivated buyers in the month of December. It might just make sense. Now, I'm not here to tell you when you should sell your property. That's a decision only that you can make. No more than I can tell you it's a great day to buy. That'd be just salesy, and that wouldn't be our place over here. But I want you to think about this. If you're on the cusp of doing it, you can make your charts of pros and cons or whatever it is that you like to do to make your decisions. But some people just intuitively, you know what, if I wait till after the first of the year, it's more comfortable for me. I realize there's a little more competition, maybe a lot more competition after the 1st, but I can accept that because I don't want the hassle of trying to buy or sell during a holiday. I can also make the case that I'm super motivated. I need to get this move done. It's actually something just gnawing at me because I'm thinking about it every day. And I didn't realize that there are active, motivated buyers out there during the holidays. I just thought that people just didn't do anything over the holidays. And it's quite the reverse. It's actually a very active time of year. So if you're on the fence about which is the right way to go, and you're motivated and want to have a chance to have a property sold or moved by the end of the year, that's entirely possible. And if you'd rather wait, that's okay too. So that this gives you some information to kind of think about, what's the state of the market? I think there's a lot of people that are ready to make a move, and some are going to do it before the end of the year. And for the ones that wait till after the 1st, that's going to be okay too. There's no deadline. There's no drama around when to do it. Really, it's just when it's right for you. So don't be afraid of the buyer broker agreements. Those are pretty much gone into the easy file. And as far as timing the market, flip a coin. Nobody can predict accurately where the market is going. And if we had that kind of knowledge, we'd all be buying lottery tickets tonight. Hope you enjoyed this show. This is your host, Ron Wysakarski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.